My team, the Carolina Panthers, selected a quarterback in the third round. In fact, my Panthers needed to trade up with the New England Patriots. The Panthers, they received the 94th pick in the third round. In return, the Patriots get the Panthers' fourth round pick, which is at pick 137 in a 2023 Carolina Panthers third round pick. All right, so that's all it took for the Panthers to go ahead, move up, select a quarterback. That quarterback was Matt Corral. All right, I'm joined by this guest named Earl Bryant. All right, he's a Panther super fan. He's going to go in here, debate with me about what this means for the Panthers moving forward. He's going to share his reactions. So before we say anything else, though, let's go ahead and get to this topic question. So here it is. What is your reaction to the Panthers selecting Matt Corral with the 94th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft?
Well, first and foremost, Dust, I gotta say it's an honor, of course, to be on your show. I know we've been waiting for a long time to get me onto the show, but also my reaction to Matt Corral. Well, I call him Golden Corral now since he got drafted. My reaction to it is all I can say is it's about dang time because when I was watching it here on the TV, I'm just probably waiting for the Panthers to really make a move. And as far as you know, we've been sitting down there for who knows heck how long, but finally they really just made it happen. And with us getting Matt Corral, it really says a lot of what this franchise is going to be doing for the next few years to come. So I'm excited. I'm very excited for this team.
Yeah, as a Panthers fan, yeah, I'm hoping that Matt Corral, whatever you want to call him, it's going to work out pretty well. Carolina, as I like to call him, that's a little new nickname that I decided to go give him. But yeah, I like this move for the Carolina Panthers somewhat because this is a low risk, somewhat of a high reward. Not necessarily too much of a high reward because we got a pretty bad head coach. I'm not going to lie. Whenever
Yeah.
Matt Rhule is your head coach, yeah, you're not going to go places pretty far. I mean, there's a reason why this man's only won 10 games in 2 years in Carolina. Doesn't look like things are going to get better in there. But as for Matt Corral as a player, I like him. He can run the RPOs really well. He can run the spread offense well. He has a lot of leadership with him. He's an overachiever at the quarterback position. 6'1", 205 pounds. Yet he plays so tough at the position. He probably plays tougher than what our current starting quarterback Sam Darnold plays. As a matter of fact, right now. Now I like the fact that there's no pressure on this guy to step in and be an immediate factor for the Carolina Panthers. But if he doesn't become an immediate factor, okay, he's going to eventually play. And also, I also like this thing either because this doesn't stop us from drafting a quarterback come 2023 with the new regime. If Matt Corral ends up sucking in 2022, it's like, okay, fine, we can move on, draft a quarterback, and then we'll kind of call it a day. Kind of like what the Panthers did back in 2010 with Jimmy Clausen when they
Oh yeah.
drafted him, where, you know what, they took a flyer on him, it didn't work out, then they end up getting your guy, Cam Newton. But yeah, I'm seeing the situation kind of playing out as far as I'm concerned. I'm looking at Sam Darnold, $19 million. I think he's actually going to be the week one star. I think he'll beat out Coral for the quote unquote beat out Coral for the starting job. And I think Coral will be the backup. But who's to say that Matt Rhule isn't necessarily going to make things work? Who's to say that Matt Rhule won't force PJ Walker to be above Matt Corral in the depth chart? We've seen plenty of third string quarterbacks be former third round picks, and Matt Rhule, you know how it is when it comes to his boys, his guys. He's going to play his guys over who actually deserves to get the job more often than not. So the way I'm seeing it, I'm fine with the Matt Corral pick. I mean, it's at least better than nothing, but I don't necessarily love this fit with Corral to the Panthers in terms of how his NFL career is actually going to project.
Right. And I agree with everything that you said there. But also, in my opinion, I really do think that he's actually going to beat out that job, really, just to become the the first string QB. But also, not only that, to me, size really does really rub me the wrong way because every time that we talk about football, it's always about size. Like they're saying size matters, but let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, you have a quarterback that was named, what's his name? Drew Brees for the Saints. At first, he was drafted to the San Diego Chargers, who, of course, that time they were in San Diego before they moved into LA years ago. But again, Drew Brees really had himself a heck of a day. I mean, he lined up with the Hall of Famer himself, LaDainian Tomlinson. You saw what he did until he messed up his elbow, really just got cut away from the Chargers, signed with the Saints, and history says it himself. It says it itself. I mean, the man held the record for completions, yards, um, touchdowns, literally became the first QB to hit 80,000 yards. And let's not forget, in 2009, Super Bowl season, Super Bowl champ, and of course, a Super Bowl MVP, which you really just can't erase on. And again, he was 6'1". I mean, he was like 6 feet. And then you got Russell Wilson in 2012. He was a third rounder. And he was also listed at what, 5'11"? He was 5'11", right?
5'11".
Yeah, so he was 5'11". You saw how that went. I mean, again, size really does not matter. The man, of course, he was shifty, and of course, he does a little spin around like he always does, which really makes defenses really get dizzy and such. But accurate, very athletic, and you already know the story. I mean, wild card season in his rookie year, lost to the Falcons. Really wish they kind of she killed him at that time. But 2013 with the Legion of Boom Super Bowl season, they won that, and then 2014 returned to the Super Bowl. And I mean, still history repeats himself. History repeats itself because the man had so much winning seasons, been to the playoffs more than we can count. And some ended up in thumbs up, some did not, but still winning seasons repetitively. And I was talking to one guy saying if Russell Wilson, of course, had that type of season when he already got drafted in 2012, who's to say what could happen to Matt Corral? Now, we all know that it's not really going to happen right off the bat. Like, it's going to take more than that to say, we're going to be a Super Bowl team and we're going to end up having a championship. But I really do believe that with this team here, we might have a good chance of being – we might have a good chance to actually make it to the playoffs this year. I really have a good feeling that we might make it to the playoffs. And who's to say what will happen in the second year? You never know. You never know.
And here's the thing, I understand your points, but I'm going to give you pushback on some of these points. You keep talking about how Matt Corral's going to get a second year and stuff like that, but let's be honest with ourselves. Third round quarterbacks, they don't got time like first round quarterbacks do, or even second round quarterbacks. Matt Corral's got 1 year to prove himself, really, before Carolina's like, you know what, we got to draft a quarterback come 2023. And here's also the thing that's going against Matt Corral. He's going up against Matt Rhule, his head coach. His head coach does not run a QB-friendly offense. He doesn't know how to develop quarterbacks. They don't even practice 2 minute to even
Right?
start out with. They don't even play. They don't even practice red zone as far as I'm concerned. So you look at it from that perspective. Matt Corral is going to be at a significant deficit. And here's also the thing either. Here's the thing too. He's not one of Matt Rhule's boys. Matt Rhule's boys, PJ Walker, Sam Darnold, he's also going to be coming up against it. If Matt Corral ended up playing as the best quarterback in this preseason, and he ends up being the third string quarterback come September, I'm not going to be surprised that when that happens. I really won't be. Because Matt Rhule, from what I've seen with Matt Rhule the last 2 years in Carolina, he really doesn't reward guys based on performances. It's more so, are you one of his boys or not? And if you're not one of his boys, get out of my way. That's kind of how he runs his system in Carolina, the way I see it. So Matt Corral, he's going to have a significant deficit. But I will say this, I feel a lot better about where the Panthers are at the quarterback position compared to where I was at, let's say, as of last night, right? I was just talking to you about this last night. I was thinking,
Oh yeah.
man, what's Carolina going to do at the quarterback position? Because they can't trade for Baker Mayfield,
They
right?
really
Because
can't. They really can't. And we've been saying that. I don't mean to interrupt. I mean, we've been saying that. Like, I've been telling a lot of people, even on Instagram, saying, don't deviate the plan. Get the QB that's really
cheap.
that's really right there in the draft and move on out. But the thing about it, I mean, you and I saw it, Willis was going down, and I'm like, okay, this is like really in a breadbasket here. Like, the thing is, everything was working so perfectly. I'm like, it's working to our advantage. All we gotta do is take it. And then here it is. Willis is still sitting in his seat. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Like, come on, man. Like, what y'all doing? Then, I mean, last thing that you know, guys, I mean, gosh darn it, the man's gone. Like, the man is just gone. And then Tennessee picked him up. I mean, I mean, I'm great. I'm happy for Willis. I'm very, very happy for Willis, man. I'm very happy for him that he is finally getting drafted. But what sucks is that, I mean, we sat there and just literally just let it pass up. But then finally they had enough and they said, hey, Rhule, just move out the way. Let me take care of business. And literally they did that. And then you saw that Tepper picked up the phone and said, Matt, welcome to Carolina. And, his story says itself. And I really do think this is not just on the players. It's just coaching right now. There is some toxic stuff going behind the scenes and we really just don't know.
Yeah, and here's also the thing that I want to point out about the Matt Corral thing. So we traded up in the draft. It doesn't sound too bad, right? Because we basically got to move up a spot for a future pick. While that it sounds okay in the grand scheme of things right now, we got to remember if Matt Corral doesn't work out, Carolina's now down to 6 draft picks next year because they're not going to have that third rounder. And who's to say that Carolina won't finish as a bottom five, bottom six kind of team? If that's the case, the Patriots, they're going to have a top 70 pick on their hands and they're going to be built with pretty good draft capital, the way that I see it. And the way that Carolina is going to be, they're going to be at a draft capital deficit again come 2023. So there is huge risk in this deal. All right. So basically, Carolina was like, you know what? In order to get a day two pick this year, we're going to have to sacrifice risking losing out on a day two pick next year. Now, I want to say this to everybody in Carolina. Listen up to me, management. Do not trade away that second rounder in 2023. Just don't do it. Don't move it for anything. I honestly would probably use that to trade back at this point to make up for the lost draft capital that we have. Because now, yeah, we got our quarterback now in the third round. But also remember this: unless we make like any other trades right now, we're not going to have a pick till round 5. So you got to remember that as well. So the way that I'm seeing it, there's huge risk in this deal. All right, so let me ask you about this: who's your player comparison for Matt Corral when you look at his game?
Now that's a good question. That's a very good question. Now, people say about size and all that stuff. Now, I'm gonna okay, like I said, I wasn't gonna talk about size, but I might as well go ahead and just say that. But thing is, when you talk about size, my look at Matt Corral, I look at a guy like Russell, well, a mix of Russell Wilson and well, the only thing I can think about right now is probably Russell Wilson a little bit. Now, and the reason why I'm saying that is because it's not just with the size, but if you remember seeing how Russ, gets off that pass, with
That law pass.
yeah, with that elite release, it's somewhat similar to Russ. And also, Russ is also very shifty too. Now, like I said, does the spin arounds that he does all the time when a defense breaks down, it's very, very unique. But also the way that he just runs the ball and really just takes a lot of people's ankles, that is shiftiness right there for Russell Wilson. And I see that in Matt Corral as well. But most of all, we don't see like a lot of guys that are very, very shifty at that position when it comes to being a QB. So the only thing that I could say that's very close to it is probably Russell Wilson. Yeah, that's right. You know what's up. But yeah, to Russell Wilson, because a lot of people really have doubted that man. And I'm gonna flip back a little bit back when he was at NC State. I don't think you knew about this, and probably someone else hasn't known about this, but the head coach for NC State, I can't remember the name, but Russell Wilson like told him just to give it up. Like you won't be amount to anything when it comes to the NFL, like talking about his size, his elite, his skill set and everything. But here it is now. You got Russ has already got a Super Bowl championship under his belt. He's already been to the playoffs more ways than one, probably more times than his alma mater that he graduated from. That since NC State's getting pummeled every year. But no offense to the Wolfpack guys. But again, Russ, is just an underdog, and most of all, his leadership, passion, for the game and his heart. Good Lord. Dude, do I need to go on? It's similar to it because you see Russ, always firing his team up. And you can tell the way that Matt Corral, gives life to his team. That's something that we desperately need. And you and I know this because remember when Sam Darnold was there and they gave him the captain's patch and he hasn't done scrap, like or said anything. Because the thing is, when you have that C on your jersey, you are now as a team captain. They look to you saying, "Dude, you are our leader here. Tell us how we're supposed to do it. Give us some life here." And the thing is, since that Patriots game, you got some of the receivers that's telling them like to tighten up and such. And literally, Darnold's just sitting there like, "Bruh, what in the heck am I doing here?" Or like,
But Darnold's not that kind of guy. He's never been that guy. Not at
well, he
USC.
never
Not
was
at
it.
the
He never
Jets.
was it. And then when Cam came in here, you got the entire huddle really around this man. And I'm like, that's exactly what the heck we need. But here's the thing. Rules like I'm the guy that's in charge here. Like, I don't want anybody else to be that type of guy. I'm the man. Well, I'm here saying if you're the man, why the heck are you just sitting there on your fat behind, literally doing absolutely nothing and literally just screwing this entire team up, not giving us the best players on this squad when we're playing scrubs, literally, I'm gonna say it right there. Scrubs like Sam Darnold, Teddy Choke Gloves, Bridgewater, and I'm not gonna call out PJ Walker because the man really just had a hard time. But your boy Teddy Choke Gloves that you just picked up, and which, like I said, Sam, I'm seeing Ghost Darnold literally over here just plummeting us, and you're replacing like literally scrubs with great players that we had on this team. And the young stars of our squad, they're really about to have had it. Like I can tell, and you can tell, they're not into it, and they really need someone that can really step it up. And finally, they did. They. I mean, I don't know if it was Scotty Fitter that did that or Tepper that really just light a rod under Matt Rhule's seat. But whatever it was, it really got them woke. And as you saw, as we saw, in day one, we got what's his name, Icky.
It's the offensive tackle from NC State. I
Yeah,
have trouble pronouncing his last name, but
yeah,
Akeem. That's
but
what I
yeah,
like to call him.
yeah, but yeah, we got Icky, who's also a Charlotte native, and he's one of us. But again, finally a Panthers for life. Then of course, again, Matt Corral or Golden Corral, as I call him, and those two, I really think it's a statement pick saying you are not pushing us off anytime soon. We are coming, and all of Heck's gonna be right behind us.
Yeah. All right. Well, you made a lot of great points. I also want to get this question answered that I asked you. Who's my player comp for Matt Corral?
Mm,
I don't think you're going to necessarily agree with me. I kind of don't agree with the Russell Wilson comparison. I see where you're coming from, but he also doesn't have the elite touchdown Russell Wilson has. I'm going to
yeah,
go ahead and say Mitchell Trubisky. I think this guy reminds me a bit of Trubisky. That's not a bad thing at all because Trubisky's a quarterback who did take the Matt Nagy-led Bears team to the playoffs twice in 3 years, so you got to
true.
give him credit for that. Matt Corral's a decent quarterback. He can play. He does the RPOs really well. He can run the read options. He can scramble. It's just that he's very raw as a prospect, and I don't know how he's going to necessarily develop in Carolina. All right, the way that Matt Rhule develops his quarterbacks, it's not necessarily going to be a good thing. It could be ugly, but the thing is, Matt Corral, he's got some skill in him. He could be, and I say could, with
Yeah,
very strong
definitely
emphasis.
good.
Could. It could be good enough to make the Panthers look somewhat competitive in a
Mm,
weak NFC. So they might be able to make some noise. But that's if Matt Rhule gives him a real shot to play. But
mm.
you never know. That's just the way I'm seeing it with Matt Corral. All right, final question. I got to ask you this, and let's just answer this rather quickly for time purposes.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Um, on a scale of 1 to 10, how impressed were you that the Carolina Panthers got Matt Corral, and what does this mean for the franchise?
First off, I'm gonna say 10 out of 10. And second of all, this is all I gotta say. Like I said, I was mad last night when they skipped out on Willis, but they finally turned it around. So I give a 10 out of 10 with this one because, like I said, we needed a quarterback bad. And no, listen, Sam Darnold, not the guy. I've been saying he's not the guy. Teddy Bridgewater, he has not been the guy. And Cam, I was happy he was back, but let's be real.
He's
The
wa-
man, huh?
he's washed up now. Cam
Yeah,
Newton.
yeah, yeah. Washed up, but not only that, he's degrading now. And we've all seen that because the man, like I said, he's about to turn what, 33 this year? He's about to turn
Mhm.
33, right?
Yeah, I think he's done playing in the NFL, and I love Cam Newton. We all do,
Yeah,
but I
we
think
we
he's
all
done.
do. But here's the thing, guys. I mean, we seen it, okay? The dude is really coming down now. And it's time for us that we need to start getting a young quarterback. And we've been saying that we're done finding trades, everyone else in the free agency line. And finally, they woke up. They woke up and they got the guy that we definitely need, whether it was Willis or Corral. But we got Corral on the other hand, and we finally got him. And all I can say is right now, I'm not expecting for us to go all the way now, like all the way to a Super Bowl championship, but at least something that says we are here to compete and we are here to kick your butt to the, just kick your butt on the field. That's
Hmm.
just
Yeah, that's what I hope. All right. Well, to answer my own question, yeah, I'm going to say it's about a 10 out of 10. I was actually kind of impressed. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be a
mhm.
revisionist because I thought Carolina was going to be stupid enough to just sit there till pick 137 in round four. But hey, at least we traded up. Do I necessarily like the trade by proper standards? No, not really. I'm not really a big fan of the trade. If we're being totally honest here, but this is probably the best move that Matt Rhule has ever made in Carolina in terms of getting a quarterback, which should really tell you everything you need to know about
Oh
him in
yeah.
terms of acquiring quarterbacks. So by Matt Rhule standards, I was impressed. But if I was by proper standards, I think that wasn't necessarily a good trade for us. I think that trade's going to come back and bite us in the bullet. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think that Matt Corral, he can be a decent quarterback, but I just don't think he's going to get a real shot in Carolina to succeed. If we're being totally honest about ourselves. So that's how I'm seeing it. So that's the way that I'm going to react to this. Well, thanks for being on the show, man. Really appreciate you coming on here, debating with me about Matt Corral, or as you like to call him, Golden Corral. I like to call him, I like to call him Carolina. That's what I like to
Oh
call him.
yeah. Either one, it works. It works. We're
Yeah,
just all happy right now, and I'm just excited. I'm excited. And
yeah.
also, real quick, y'all don't forget this afternoon, rounds was it round four?
Round 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, round 4 through 7 is going to be popping up back on either ESPN, ABC, or and NFL Network. So y'all make sure you keep your gears on and just see who else we got next. Because I'm hearing that we might need to get a linebacker next.
All right. And also, one other thing before he ends up leaving this call, make sure you follow his social medias. He's got an Instagram, he's got a Facebook. His Instagram handle is at Newton Nation 1. Remember, he's a Cam Newton super fan. And then he's got his Facebook account. It is at earl.bryant.923. So make sure that you go ahead, follow those accounts. I'll put that in the description box below. Thank you for being on the show, man.
And y'all, oh yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe on my YouTube channel. It's EB3, by the way, if y'all ever want to get any recaps.
All right. Yeah, sounds great, man. Thanks for being on the show. I hope you can come back some other time. Debate with
Oh
me
yeah,
about Panthers football or whatever the case may be.
yes sir. One finger, one pinky, one thumb, one love.
Yes, sir. All right. See ya, bro.
All right, see it.
Yep. Bye. That was Earl Bryant that you guys just heard. He's a Panthers super fan. He was hyped up that Matt Corral was drafted to the Carolina Panthers. He seems to be super happy about it. He seems to be super high on him. And as for me, I'm not really that high on Matt Corral, but I'm hopeful that things are going to work out with him in the Carolina Panthers. We'll see, though. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm also reminiscent and also reminded of how Matt Rhule is still the head coach, so all bets are off. I'm okay with it. I mean, at least it's not Sam Darnold, and he's super cheap as well, so I'm also good with that. And I got to believe that he's got to be an upgrade over Sam Darnold, if nothing else. He might not necessarily be good, but he can make some stuff happen, so that's how I'm looking at him. So that is why the Panthers selecting Matt Corral was a decent choice to make in the 2022 NFL Draft, as he will be an upgrade to Sam Darnold at worst. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in a future video. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Dustin S. Tran and at Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter at Dustin S. Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Sports Guy Talking to get the latest from the show, Tran Talks. Go ahead and like the video. Comment down below. Check the description box on the video in order to follow my socials. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from Tran Talks on the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.